I am a South African born. I'm a former refugee and a settler on the traditional lands of two treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the First Nations of the Williams Treaties. I come from a long and very diverse ancestry of people, where knowledge and wisdom of one's lineage is present in all ways of knowing and being, irrespective of time and space. A striking example of this fact can be observed within the interactions of everyday life, where oftentimes people greet one another by saying, "Sawubona." This is an ancient isiZulu greeting, meaning we see you. Not I see you, but we see you. This beautiful word not only represents an acknowledgement of one's physical entrance into a space, but their presence as part of a lineage and ancestry that is carried with you as you walk through the world. It not only recognizes the physical person, but the interconnection between one's humanity and another's. More intrinsically, I think it allows us to consider the limitless possibilities and potential of this seeing of one another. So to the in-person audience and those connected virtually, I say to you, Sawubona. For as long as I can remember, the fact of my difference in one form or the other has intrinsically shaped my human experience and my aspirations toward learning. My mother left South Africa in 1987, 2 days before Christmas, with 2 little girls and ventured across an ocean to seek amnesty so that we could realize our limitless potential as young women, beyond any confines of oppressive and imposing socially constructed identities. Now, to this day, I carry that beautiful intention with me in all that I do. When I finally reached the opportunity to enter graduate studies and ready to embark upon the next leg of my journey of learning, I was surprised to discover that I felt something was missing. For some strange reason, I felt at odds with myself. I felt displaced at the fact that for so long, I had been focused and driven to engage in acquiring as much knowledge as I could at as high degree of excellence as possible, all the while never having to intentionally ground myself as a learner. I realized that there isn't a lot of grounding of the person or the human being before one embarks upon the acquirement of knowledge, and that there aren't many spaces that bridge one's formal academic learning with the wisdom, teachings, the knowledges cultivated within one's community, family, mentoring, or any other trusted relationships. For many, including myself, the wisdom and knowledges and guidance received in these spaces play a pivotal role in the development of the whole person. So before I took the next step forward, I wanted to find a way to ground my intention toward my learning, past, present, and future. The Human Rights Scholar's Acknowledgement builds on a learner's personal declaration toward humility and responsibility in the acquirement and stewardship of knowledge that is often connected to the trauma, but more importantly, the resilience of the oppressed. It challenges the learner to be introspective, and in doing so, it asks them to make connections to the wisdom, teachings, and tenets present within their very own communities and lived experiences. The Human Rights Scholars Acknowledgement aims to foster greater critical consciousness within the human rights learner by framing an essential linkage between a learner of human rights and a learner of humanity. It allows an entry point for the learner into critically conscious spaces of learning. And from a wisdom teachings perspective, we understand that learning spaces are sacred spaces, and within sacred spaces, transformation occurs. The Human Rights Scholars Acknowledgement. The human rights scholar acknowledges with the utmost respect that this field of knowledge is premised on the lived experiences, traumas, and continued resilience of the oppressed. The human rights scholar steps forward on a journey of unlearning, which carries a deep commitment and responsibility to ameliorating and eliminating oppression and subjugation in all its forms. With humility, respect, and an understanding of the interconnected nature of all beings, the human rights scholar aspires to purposefully engage in transformative learning that advocates the shared and common humanity of all. So you may be wondering how this all connects to the idea of international education. International education and academic partnerships revitalize a common practice throughout our history, our many histories, where people, knowledges, wisdom, ideas, and innovation converged within these sacred spaces of learning. The potential for new ways of thinking and knowing and being were considered and applied, elevating the learner toward active change-making within any discipline. This convergence of our diverse worlds revitalize who we really are and what we are truly capable through this being of one another. Within the Human Security and Peacebuilding program, I have been able to use this acknowledgement and grounding as a strong basis to pull those wisdoms I am so blessed to carry into my learning, to truly connect to related concepts such as the freedom from fear and freedom from want, critical capacity building, and the essence of a human-centered approach within the discipline itself, the very nature of our interconnectedness. Within any respective discipline, there are always a human-centered connection to the ideas we cultivate, to the projects we attempt to innovate, and the intention of human-centered design we wish to uphold. Toward this fact, grounding our practice in situating the importance of knowledge stewardship over knowledge ownership allows for a broader range of possibility, translations, sustainable outcomes, and very necessary conversations to manifest. The Human Rights Scholars Acknowledgement opens the possibility to shift entrenched paradigms within any discipline by challenging our propensity toward imperializing knowledge for outcome, as opposed to pushing back at complicity through learning that is grounded in humility, respect, and revitalizing the wisdoms and knowledges that nurture not just what we learn, but how we learn it. Where the acquirement of knowledge is not just framed through a logic of power, but through the breath of transformative stewardship. I'd like to thank Royal Roads and all of you for inviting me into this space of learning, the sacred space of learning. Thank you, and talaga shlif, stay well.